Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from Los Angeles County, I'll be your co-host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me as always, he's my plus one, it's Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going, buddy?
David. I'm doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm feeling good. You know, just me and you. We've been doing this for a while now. I feel like we got a good rapport kind of going. It's, you're my plus one, I'm your plus one. But I feel like, I don't know, tonight I just feel like we need more. We need more pluses.
Funny you should say that because you always get to bring me as a plus one, but I've decided to bring a plus one as well.
Oh, so you're still my plus one, but you have your own plus one that's not me this time?
Right. I've got a plus one that's not you.
Oh, that's okay. No, I'm totally cool with that. That's fine.
I didn't make this awkward.
No, it's totally fine.
That wasn't the goal.
I mean, I had these 2 drinks for us, but I guess I can go back and get another one if you want.
Oh, well, I've got 3 drinks because you're here.
Yeah.
And then I also figured that our other friend and previous guest on our Ren and Stimpy episode, Alex Capece, is joining us today, who is also a firefighting captain in DC.
Hey, I'm your third wheel. How's it going, Dave?
I'm just glad that we have so much drinks for everyone.
Yeah.
Great to be here as the plus 2. I don't really know how that works, but I need you to fuck off to the bar and go get me a drink.
Okay, I'll be back in a little bit. You guys
okay.
Want to take a spin on this?
Good.
Okay, cool. I'll be back.
It's delightful. No, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me on again. And I hope that my expertise can either be hilarious or informative.
Yeah.
Probably not both.
No, definitely both.
What you guys are doing.
And so this is extremely important, is the word expertise, because what we are doing for this episode and for this particular show is we are bringing on somebody with the expertise to be able to talk about what's relevant in this cartoon.
And what's wrong with it.
And what's wrong with it. So this is extraordinary. So we're extremely excited to have you on, Alex. Thank you.
That's wonderful. What I'm worried about is the fact that if I'm the subject matter expert on this panel, you guys are fucked.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, for 120 some episodes now, Sean and I have just been like, we're pretty much podcast and cartoon experts. So it's a pretty loose definition here.
Yeah.
Well, then good. I feel like I fit in.
There are definitely times that Dave and I think that we're like geopolitical geniuses, and we're just like, let's talk about propaganda cartoons from North Korea, which we have no right to be able to
guess
discuss.
What? Turns out I watched something today that was weirdly related to this. Remember when we made fun of the North Koreans for thinking that we had tanks that floated on water?
Absolutely.
We actually did, except that they only worked in still quiet water, calm water. So not anything with waves, which is why there's a bunch of them that were sunk in the English Channel because they tried to float them across in calm water, but they had like a crazy storm that came through and just sunk them all to the bottom of the channel. So, fun fact of the podcast: North Korea got something right. Tanks still did not have faces on them, as far as I am aware of. But
did our ammunition at least have faces on it?
I don't think so.
Oh, fingers crossed, U.S. military.
This one's for you. Tank Korea is best Korea.
Unfortunately. But for tonight's episode, we are, of course, talking Emergency Plus 4. Domestic Emergency Operations. And is the subtitle. Sean's going to give us a little bit of history on this so you know what the hell we're talking about tonight. So take it away, buddy.
Emergency Plus 4 is an American animated television series based on the live-action primetime series Emergency. The series began on NBC's Saturday morning schedule in 1973 and ran for 23 episodes over 2 seasons, ending in 1976 after reruns. Universal Studios outsourced the animation to Fred Calvert Productions because it didn't have its own animation division. Universal Animation Studios was subsequently organized to manage its parent company's rights to this series, along with other animated properties in the NBC Universal catalog.
Yeah, I think reading between the lines there for that one, I think basically Universal was like, we have this property, we don't have an animation studio, let's get somebody on the cheap to animate this thing. Then they looked at it and went, holy shit, this is horrendous. You're never doing this again. We're going to start our own animation studio. But I'm pretty sure it was after the fact for this particular show.
So it's a fun fact to know that Fred Calvert was the nexus for NBC being like, we have to get an animation division up in here because this guy will never work in this town again.
I don't know if he did. Hopefully he did. Hopefully he got better because this was pretty bad.
I definitely have some discussion points for that. So
we won't get into that yet. As for what the show is actually about, each episode of the adventure series revolved around the paramedical rescue service that was basically in the name. So it took the name from the live-action TV show, which has an exclamation point, which Sean so deftly handled in his intro there. But this one adds a +4. And the +4 of the series in the title referred to 4 children, Jason, Randy, Matthew, and Matthew's sister Sally, which, a caveat to that, in tonight's episode, there's a girl named Carol. I don't know where the hell she fits in. I don't know if this is a second season thing.
If only we could find more episodes to explain all these questions.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If only, because we literally found one that existed on the internet.
Boy.
So anyway, the +4 is this random assembly of kids and weird animals who join the paramedics in each episode's rescue activities, along with Flash the dog, Charlemagne the Mina bird, and Bananas the monkey, in order to avert disasters and assist Gage and DeSoto on daring rescues in Los Angeles County.
You know, it took me way too long to realize that they had animals riding along with them. I guess they were kind of hidden behind them in the weird truck they're riding in. But
yeah,
they have a dog, they have a bird, and they have a monkey.
Yeah.
First off, how did these children get these animals?
Oh, so many questions.
Oh, that's your question about this,
So
Alex?
I have so many questions.
So that's not my only question, but
Okay.
because he brought up Flash the dog, Charlemagne,
Sure.
Mina bird, I just really wanted to know, where do these kids get these animals?
I'm more curious to know how these kids got a gypsy vehicle to be able to ride around and pick up strangers in this van that they have.
I mean, it was the 70s. I'll give them that. I feel like everybody had that.
But not a single one of them looked like they were 16
Yes,
and
thank
able
you.
to
That
drive.
was my
All
next
of them looked like they were 10 years old, and
I
somebody
thought-
threw them the keys and was just like, fuck it.
It's the 70s.
Yes, I
kids
thought
go
they were
nuts.
driven around by a member of the Los Angeles Fire Department. Then when I saw the kid driving, I thought to myself, this is odd. And the fact that they're able to roll up to quite literally an active scene
Oh, yeah.
where there's multiple injured, not only civilians, but also, crew members of the Los Angeles Fire Department. The fact they can just drive up into this, clearly Captain whoever his name, who's running that, fancy
I'm Captain
1980s
Johnson, and
Zach
I've got my
Morris
hands
radio.
full.
Whoever he is has no control of this scene. And that's problematic.
No, this whole thing was a mess from beginning to end. But
It
let's
really
talk. So let's jump on these animals here. That sounded weird. Let's go back to these animals for a second.
We are definitely doing phrasing.
Look, Flash the
Yep.
dog. I mean, that makes sense. You can pick them up from literally like a dumpster, back alley, maybe some. I don't know. You guys are giving me
Behind
weird
an
looks.
In and Out, whatever.
Where the hell
Yeah.
are you guys adopting animals?
Oh, adopt. Oh, I just meant like pick up a dog.
All right.
But I mean, yeah, I guess you can go more legit with it if you want. If you're a sucker.
Okay.
No, definitely go adopt. Anyway, A, what the fuck is a Mina bird? B, where the fuck do you get one? And C, who names it Charlemagne? I have so many
Apparently
questions.
from the Los Angeles Fire Department, from the historian who really loves the fire service.
Is the Mina bird like an ancient
animal
of the firefighting?
No, I was just referring to his name.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like Mayan.
No,
Like mine.
Charlemagne.
Charlemagne, the famous Mayan.
Charlemagne the Mayan. There's a carving of Charlemagne on every step of the temples in, Aztec.
Oh God, we've just combined so many things and eras. Guys, we are cartoon experts, not history, not.
All right, so we can take this a million different ways.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what a Mina bird is to begin with, but I think it's kind of like a parrot. I did not bother to look this up. I'm just going to assume things.
I was busy looking up different things, not Mina birds.
Fair.
So, yeah, I'm out on this one as well.
Okay, and then monkey, I don't know where you get one. Like every sitcom in the 90s had one, but I don't know. 70s, do you steal it from the zoo? Do you just kind of get it? Is it like the movie Outbreak where they're just all over the place?
Maybe you find an exotic pet dealer.
Oh, maybe, They could have
gone.
gone.
They must exist, but they're probably like with the triads or some gang group or something that you have to smuggle it in.
This had to be like a one-stop
Like in a
shop where they were
shipping
just
crate.
like, it was probably like a buy one get two free or something. Just like a dog, a Mina bird, and a monkey. Just throw them together.
And they were like, yeah, screw it, sounds good.
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been like a gang initiation thing, like Alex is referring to. It was just like, you gotta get a monkey, You go to Gamunky, and then you're in the EMS gang, and people are just like, "Oh, okay, I'm in. I'm on board."
Okay, first fact check in the night. Alex, is that accurate?
I have never seen a firehouse monkey.
Okay.
I have
We need to.
I have seen places across the country that have firehouse dogs.
Okay.
They're not currently allowed within the DC Fire Department. We've done away with those, but the entire purpose of the dog initially was to keep the horses calm and try and help them like track where it is they're going. And so, for whatever reason, Dalmatians are very, very good with horses, especially the oh man, I meant to say brand, but no, the breed. There we go, of horses that were cultivated. So the last 3 horses in DC, Barney, Gene, and Tom, that ran. Yeah, they.
No shit.
The last 3 that ran in DC, they went to the grave shortly before their fire dog did, and that was just, they had an sort of unexplainable relationship.
Oh.
Holy shit, guys! You might actually learn something on this podcast tonight. I did not expect that.
I would have taken that as the credit for like what was it, Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey 3.
that's yours.
3 horses and a fire dog.
Yeah, right. That's a great script.
I would have watched the hell out of that.
Just loose in Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
So let me ask a quick question. So we obviously Emergency Plus 4 is based on the live action drama Emergency. Right. Now, Dave, did you watch this show?
I need to give listeners out there and you guys as well a word of warning. If you're drinking along at home and playing a drinking game, every time I say the words "my dad" or start a story about like me and my dad growing up, you drink and you'll be hammered by the end of this episode.
Let's do it.
I only knew about Emergency because my dad kind of was at the time in an early medics program. So he started as like a volunteer firefighter / ambulance driver worker back when he was like 16. And then by the time the medic program actually started kind of like gaining steam across the country was when this show came out. And he was one of the young, kind of one of the young guns at the time. So this was like, the guys loved watching this show. And then when we were old enough to kind of like appreciate it, 6, 7, 8 years old, he would just sit there and watch it with us. He'd order it and then we'd just watch the DVDs or probably VHS at the time. So that was my introduction to it. And I really liked it. It was kind of like a Dragnet, an Adam 12, but just one that focused on the emergency medicine. So I thought it was pretty cool, honestly.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you guys?
That's fair. So Emergency ran from 1972 to 1977, and out of all the episodes that they had, the legacy that it carried is obviously very well propagated within the fire service, and anybody who gives a shit about their job at least knows about these episodes and knows who Johnny and Roy were. And they may not have known Kevin Tighe and Randolph Mantooth, right, but they know Johnny and Roy and they know Squad 51. Yeah. And that iconic
yeah.
That's the Squad 51 noise that interestingly enough we actually use in the department. Somebody figured out when we went to some new technology, when this like really advanced technology, these tablets that we have in the front of the fire trucks, when we get a call, that's the noise that you hear.
That's awesome.
So you had a firefighter that figured out how to download a ringtone,
pretty much,
onto a tap. Cool,
yes.
Got it.
Yes.
I can relate.
And then somebody in DC's office of the chief technology officer, Octo, said, "Okay, all right, yeah," and then put it on the tablets. So now when we get a run, you hear it's just,
no way.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
They've sort of trimmed it down lately, where now it's just kind of like it's this obnoxious noise. It's only one of the 3 noises that are actually made
not
there.
Quite as charming.
It's like a rip-off of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that. But so that was the original noise when we had the tablets, and so everybody was joking. Well, I mean, hey, Squad 51, everybody is, bumming on all the paramedics who are coming into the fire department, but let's all remember that Johnny and Roy were the first paramedics ever.
Right, exactly.
That's
and
cool.
because they went from the fire department and they learned this medical stuff, and in, I don't know, 44 years ago, paramedicine parlance, yes, you still had to call Rampart to talk to a doctor to get permission to start an IV.
Now, that was one of my questions for you, and we'll get to that plot point later on, because I was like...
Because that was at the very end.
But I was like, wasn't the whole point, for having these guys out in the field as, like, first responders to get, like, a basic... To get whoever's there a basic level of treatment so they can get them stabilized and then back to the hospital. So it seems like time is kind of the essence. Maybe not to have to radio back, but we can get into that later.
But also in the episode that we watched, there was a moment where everyone said, well, the sun went down. Fuck it. Let's just drink coffee.
We don't have electricity.
And hope that everything is okay.
So what you're saying is this cartoon is not
the next
super
morning,
realistic.
let's resume the search. I hope he's okay, trapped under this fucking camper.
I hope that 8-year-old boy's fine with hypothermia.
Good thing he has that shitty wool blanket. Good job, son.
Oh man, we got a lot to get into. So
I know there's so much. Please guide us, Dave.
No, usually the first place we jump off, you've already mentioned the two main characters who are actually in this episode pretty much the least of anybody on the episode itself.
Absolutely true.
They just kind of wander across the screen and occasionally say a few things. I gotta say, these guys seem super bored with the cartoon idea of their characters.
Oh, do they?
They're not very excited vocally about this whole thing.
No, which I don't get, because it's basically just like, hey, just do the same thing you do on the live action thing. Just, do it with your voice and problem solved. But I don't know. It's probably a contractual thing where they didn't get any extra scratch for it.
And they looked up and they whispered, no.
That's exactly right.
I feel like for a majority of this cartoon, it was people just looking up and then not saying anything for large periods of time.
Thanks, Fred Calvert.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, before we get into the show proper, how about we talk about this theme song?
Yeah, let's get into this theme song.
Because as Alex mentioned, like that, you hear that siren in the live action version. Which, real quick sidebar, when I was living in LA, I actually popped down. I forget exactly where it was, outside of LA, and visited this old squad house. So I actually have pictures. I met with the people that were working there at the time. They were very accommodating, because it was literally right before they were going to renovate the whole place. So I took pictures of the whole place, got to see how it was in the 70s. And you see that.
Oh, nice. So you got there before they redid it.
Yeah, before they redid it. Yeah. There's pictures on my Facebook. I basically took them for my dad, but they're there if you guys are interested.
Drink.
Yep.
Keep track.
Everybody drink.
But anyway, so that was featured in the live action show, and then it was kind of ported over into this intro for the cartoon. I thought they would keep the same music. It's kind of got the same feel to it, but it's drastically different.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Sean?
So because I ended up watching the emergency intro, I think that there are a lot of similarities that they have between Emergency +4 and Emergency. Sort of the preparation, putting on your gear, coming down the pole. The thing that differs, obviously, aside from the fact that one is animated and one is live action, is that in the animated version of this, it seems like they asked the animator, can you only do the keyframe animations?
Right.
And do none of the interstitials that would be in between those keyframes?
You mean those weird anime jump cuts that they had?
Yes.
People just running in space,
and then all of a sudden you're freeze frame.
Yeah.
Freeze frame.
Yeah.
Yes.
It sort of starts out the same way, where you have firefighters that are getting ready, and suddenly you have these kids that just show up out of nowhere. And during this montage where you have firefighters that are climbing down a ladder with a baby, you then almost have an animator's a graduation project where they were like, hey, look at this kid run in place and do nothing. It was almost as if to say hey guys, we figured out what a kid looks like animated and running. #humblebrag. Just want to get this in here before the entire show starts. Just so you know, kids are going to be running in this show.
Also, we want to say the word hashtag 30-some years before it exists. So
exactly,
let's get that in there.
It's sort of an incredible mix between sort of the preparation that I would assume, and from my understanding, a firefighter would go through in getting ready to answer a call, and absolute nonsense from these gypsy kids running an EMS wagon
It's basically like if you took Scooby-Doo's Mystery Machine, right?
Dave, where are these kids' parents? Where are these kids' parents?
Burned in a fire.
Quite honestly, it felt very Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
But with no direction.
No.
Yeah.
Or purpose.
This entire show could have been summed up as Scooby-Doo with long moments of absolute silence, and you would have been like, yeah, that makes sense, and also, is super fucking awkward.
Yeah, and boring.
Also, at least in Scooby-Doo, they realized what their purpose was and what they had to do in the first few minutes of the episode. It was honestly halfway through this motherfucker before anybody said, gosh, is there anything we can do? Your response time is shit, kid.
It's terrible.
Seriously.
It's pretty bad. Even
all
for,
of you,
for 73.
all of you are just, you're not doing your job.
What is their job? They're 14.
Well, you know what? If they're supposed to have a job, they're not doing it.
Yeah. Fair. I want to say, on a positive note, there is a pretty decent brass section that's kind of behind all of this.
Bump,
yeah.
Bump, bump.
Where it kind of gets you, it sort of gets you excited about
you
what's going on.
Dude, the music throughout, like the quality of it was decent. It just, the tone of some of them were really strange, which we'll talk about in a little bit. They just like misplaced a lot of these cues.
Like you want to get excited from the theme song.
Right.
But then it is just it's so anticlimactic. Yeah. Coming out of
right, because they get you all sorts of pumped, and even through the episode, they get you pumped for, all right, from the opener where you've got people rappelling down from rock walls, and then you've got all sorts of other cool stuff going on. You get really excited, and then you're like, oh, look at our half-assed mystery machine. And
with a big 4
the fact
on the
that we're
side
not doing anything. But it's okay. We'll listen to the radio and just hear poor little Joey die. Okay.
Listen to the sounds of Joey dying. So, okay, before we jump into this episode tonight, which was literally the only one we could find, called SOS Help Us, which is also the subtitle for our own podcast. But Alex, I have to ask if this show is based around actual firefighters and medics who travel with just 4 random-ass teenage kids, is that a common practice in the DC firefighting system? Or is this complete bullshit?
So, second question onto that. If it's not a practice within DC, is it a practice nationally?
For both questions, I will refer to Mr. Horse from Ren and Stimpy. No, sir. No, it's not. Absolutely not. This is a very strange way to incorporate for... They don't even seem to have like a real strong desire to want to help out the fire department. It's just like 4 kids who, instead of joining chess club, they came over and joined Emergency +4 fire department
They
club.
joined the We're Supposed to Be Saving Lives club, but they didn't even get like a uniform or a jacket. They just got a shitty van.
Missed the memo about the fact that they're supposed to be saving lives. I don't know if they just didn't read what was on the billboard that day, but
see, I like to think that they were like groupies that just kind of like they all found each other weirdly. They just had a van. They had this assemblage of weird animals and just started following these guys around.
Hey, if I bring my monkey, will you bring your dog and your sister?
Hey, if you bring your sister, your dog, and your monkey, can I bring my minor bird?
Oh yeah, totally. Now we got
absolutely.
+4.
Yeah.
Also, real quick question: what the fuck is a minor bird?
I still don't know. I still haven't looked it up.
You know what? Hey, it doesn't matter what a minor bird is. Let's go steal a fire department vehicle and drive around.
I think they made their own. I think they took their dad's, like their dad was like a 60s rocker and he had this van that was just like up on blocks. They fixed it up. They painted it weird. They put a 4 on the side of it and they're like, we're emergency folk now.
We +4, yo.
+4.
So I want to.
I'm sorry, +4. You're right.
+4. So I want to ask the question, and to Dave and Alex, did you ever go through this thing where like growing up in, I grew up in the suburbs, and so whenever I would go into like an urban area, like whenever I would go to Pittsburgh or I'd go to New York City, my mom was like obsessed with the idea that like I should not get in a gypsy taxi.
A jitney?
Yeah, like a jitney.
You said gypsy.
100%.
You
a jitney.
said gypsy well more than I've said my dad tonight. So if you're
Yeah,
also
I
playing
know,
at
so-
home, drink every time Sean says
Listen,
gypsy.
if I have to drink every time that Dave, you mentioned your dad, and Sean, you mentioned something about a gypsy, I'm not going to make it through this
No,
podcast.
our
I just
emergency
need you
professional
to
is
know that right now.
It's gonna need some help.
I'm gonna start an IV drip on myself. And
Firemen are really good at drinking beer, all I'm saying.
fair enough.
But I'm not that
But yeah,
fucking
jitneys. I've
So-
written in a couple in Pittsburgh, and probably that's about it.
good.
Oh god. And so it was like one of those like things where, you know, my mom is like obsessed with like warning me about all of these things. And so I feel like watching this show tonight was her fears come alive in 70s cartoon form. Like in no way, shape, or form would you I look at it this way, all right? Like you should never ask somebody, all right, who is not familiar with something in healthcare a potential healthcare question. Although I will say this with the caveat that we do it all the time, WebMD. All right. So,
Yes.
but keeping that in mind, all right, like back in this period of time, it was like you would never get medical advice from a somebody who's within the range of 10 to 15 years old who's in a van that looks like they stole and painted a +4 on. Like I want to say this. The premise of this show is bullshit. All right.
I think we've established that. Yeah.
These fucking kids they hotwired a van, all right, that was probably impounded somewhere that had 3 refugee animals that were in the back. And they were like, fuck it. Let's see if we can support this fire department. I want to say this. If your fire department is in such dire straits that you need to hire 4 kids in a jitney, you fucked up as a fire department.
You're assuming they're paying.
This is embarrassing as shit.
You're assuming they're paying.
You
them.
should
I don't
work
think
for
they're paying
DC.
them. They're paying them in life
Alex-
experience.
Alex, if 4 kids ever roll up to the scene that you're on in a van, like through barriers, through tape, through all the bullshit that they need to get through, if they ever roll up, just turn in your 2 weeks at that point because like shit has gone horribly awry.
Actually, I just thought that was the DC Fire Department under the Ellerby administration.
Oh,
So this actually looked frighteningly familiar.
True.
Look,
Yeah.
I get that you don't want to put your lives and your livelihood, life and limb in the hands of kids, but I mean, they can probably handle like a massive 1,000-acre forest fire, right?
Yeah, sure. Actually, no, I did want to ask you about that simply because it didn't look initially like a massive forest fire.
No, it was one poorly
I loved the
animated
80s
plume of smoke.
animation because it looked like Fox Valley was being threatened by an immobilized Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, just
It
just
didn't
standing
go
in one
anywhere.
place.
The smoke did not drift anywhere. It was just a little whirlwind of gray that said, "Fuck you, Fox Valley."
It was a Dementor just hovering over the mountain.
Yeah, and that was it.
It's like, we're in Fox Valley. We
Harry
got
Potter
the-
was in
we got
was
a
in
Dementor sighting
Fox
here
Valley.
in Los Montañas.
And so all right, so we obviously have the threat. We have the forest fire.
Right.
That is our major antagonist.
But that should be
for this whole
exciting,
thing.
right? That's
Hold-
exciting
hold on.
television, yeah?
Hold on. Pause really quick. Alex is positing. I want everybody to think about this as we have this discussion, okay? Because this is critically important for me. Who is the antagonist? You've already asserted that it's the forest fire. I'm thinking otherwise.
You think
Oh,
it's
I
the
know.
minor bird?
There's one motherfucker
You know who I'm
lurking
talking
out
about.
there, yep.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Let's keep talking about it. I want to get to this guy organically. This will be a blast for probably
Okay.
only me.
No. I'm definitely with you, I hope. Otherwise,
Okay,
we're going to have
so
2.
should I just keep going until you jump
Yeah,
in
yeah,
here?
yeah.
All right,
Please.
So I think that the major antagonist of this whole episode is obviously the forest fire threatening Fox Valley.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden we find out that there's a dad who has his kid who's driving an RV and says, like, "Are we lost, Dad?" "No, it's cool. The GPS says drive into this wall of fire. I got this, son.
All right, well,
So everything's okay." And then, holy shit, tragedy. Shocker.
shocker. Before we even get to these
Shocker.
idiots, who probably should have been left to burn, we have probably like a 5 to 10 minute, just like not even a montage, because the whole point of a montage is to speed through the boring shit, right? This is like what should have been montaged. It was a 5 to 10 minute sequence of like relays back and forth from the spotter on the ground, the helicopters going overhead, back to the dispatcher, out to the various departments who are all going to respond to this fire. And I get it. If you're watching the live action version of this, it's actually kind of cool to see all the like the cogs in the machine and all the different parts and how they all work together.
But Dave, I will tell you this. This is not the short version that is entertaining and then we forget about it. This was like actually a list of every single unit and person and battalion chief and helicopter that was supposed to respond, that was exhausting even to me. And I found it kind of interesting from the very beginning. Yeah. But at the end of it, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, can we just cut this shit short already?
It was so painful.
Like, just cut it off. I don't care how many helicopters you have responding. Just let's go.
And wrap this up, B.
Yeah, and you literally like
wrap it right. I wanted the Chappelle's wrap it up box. Yeah. Wrap it up, B.
And you're not introduced to like anybody that you remotely care about yet. Like, they're just random dispatchers just relaying information. You don't actually get to like see anybody do anything except just kind of like
it was what, 7 or 8 minutes after that when they even called Squad 51.
Yeah, and then finally when Gage and DeSoto show up, they're like they deliver the most bored dialogue I've ever heard in my life. Like, one of them,
let's get a backboard.
Well, see, before that, he's got a broken leg. Well, we'll take care of him.
Oh, well, I guess he's gonna die.
No, like before they even show up to like the injured people, they're like just looking at the fire as it's burning out of control, and they're like, it must really be going if they called everyone in already. Right. And the other guy's like, yeah, that Santa Ana comes up, we're really in for it. Like, yeah, you guys sound fucking terrified. Yeah, cash those paychecks.
There is zero emotion or inflection regarding the actual situation that is taking place. Right. Which, you know, I look at it this way: I have gone to war with a grill fire. That's the extent of my ability. Like, a grease fire, I'm good. I know how to take care of it.
Did you have a sweet horn section behind you when you did it? Bump, bump, bump.
Yeah, that sweet
God
jazz.
Damn it, I wish I did.
Yeah,
but I did not. Like, looking at those things, like, I can only imagine, like, if you're somebody who is in a career at that point, seeing something like that, you're like, I get it. I understand. I see what's happening right now. We're going to address it. It's not as big of a deal, but it's still important that we put the right wheels in motion in order to address this.
Right.
And these guys could not seem more bored with the idea that this Tasmanian devil is in the background of Fox Valley ripping shit up. To me, I would have been like, that looks really weird. Holy crap. This entire countryside's burning. Also, why do I live in California? Like,
why am I still here?
Yeah. These are all questions that I would need to personally answer myself. To these guys, this is old hat for them. And so I guess I can understand that.
Yeah, fuck the 21 families that are living out there.
Right. So the question that you're getting at is sort of the old adage, if you will, or something that's passed around the fire department of, like, look, the trash man doesn't get really excited when he turns the corner and sees a whole bunch of trash. Why should we get really excited when we turn the corner and see a whole bunch of fire blowing out of a window? I understand that they are different situations with different life safety, consequences. But yeah, it's kind of like, accountants like to show up to work and crunch numbers.
Oh,
we like
boy,
to
a
show
lot
up
of spreadsheets.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
But at the same time, they opted not to make a Garbage Man cartoon. They opted to make the Emergency +4 cartoon, where you think they'd be handling...
But they did make a Garbage Man reality TV show.
Starring... Oh, fuck, what was his name? The field goal kicking, garbage picking Philadelphia phenomenon. The hell's his name?
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, you don't remember?
Oh no, I meant the Trash Wars.
Oh, I didn't know that.
TV show.
Tony Danza.
The quite literal dumpster fire of a TV show.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Rock of Love on VH1.
Oh no, also a dumpster
With
fire.
That dumpster fire.
There's so many dumpster fires. I've put out a great many dumpster fires, and I think that all of these TV shows are greater dumpster fires.
Real question.
Than the ones that I've
have you done any like forest fire or wilderness fire training?
No, I have no wildland experience.
Okay.
But I did do some research on some of the wildland practices that they employed in the show, such as dumping AFFF, aqueous film-forming foam, on top of their people who were in the valley, which is what I assumed that white foamy thing that filled the screen
Oh, see,
was.
I didn't know. I thought maybe it was just straight water because I looked it up and I was like, fuck, they just dumped like 800 pounds of water on these guys. It probably can't feel great.
Which rather like jumping off of,
like a bridge or something.
1,000-foot cliff or something. When you hit water at that speed, the water is basically concrete.
Yeah.
Whatever. It pulverizes you. So if you dump a billion gallons of water or whatever the hell it is on top of people from 1,000 feet, it acts the same way.
Yeah.
However, I looked into the fact that they dumped all of this weird foam stuff, and okay. All right, let me just start here. So they dump this foamy stuff on people and fill the screen.
Okay.
So in 1902, there's this Russian chemist who invented this aqueous film-forming foam, whose purpose was to coat the fuel and cool the fuel itself.
Okay.
So that takes away two of the things in the fire triangle.
Right.
So you deny access to oxygen and you deny the heat factor.
Right.
However, all of the stuff that they have is it's like a glycol-based solvent and some kind of additive that stabilizes the bubbles, if you will, so that they spread evenly. But whether it's that foam stuff or the $2 a gallon fancy nitrate-based red slurry that comes out of the back of planes and makes, these fantastic photos every summer, every time that actually burns, because it's just a fire retardant, it's not actually, it'll only prevent it for so long.
It's not a suppressant. It's just a retardant.
Right. It's just a retardant. So the second that fire, makes its way towards those things and then burns off all of these, dioxins and furans and all sorts of other carcinogenic things that, Dave, I'm sure you could probably tell us more about with your biochem thumbs up that you just gave me. All of these like halogenated things that you light on fire are really, really not good for humans. Yeah. Long and the short of it, I would not like to drown in 800 to 1,000 gallons of fire retardant. That you just dropped on top of me. So now here comes the cancer, and also there's still fire around me.
The other thing that I'd like to not participate in is any type of a helicopter ride with any of the people who are a part of this unit.
Well, literally at least one person's not great.
They seem right, but they seem woefully inept at the idea of.
You ever landed on the head of a pin?
Clearly he hasn't.
That's an actual line from this episode, by the way. Actual line.
Well, guess there's a first time for everything. Thanks, Roy. Or Johnny, whoever fucking said that.
All right, let's back up 1 second. No. So we've got everybody. They're arriving at the fire now. Just trying to keep everybody in line here on the plot. So we actually meet the +4 first, which it's actually 3 kids, a dog, and a monkey. So I don't know how the fuck that's +4, but whatever. They're driving the van while watching lightning strikes just kind of light up the area. So the storm's getting worse. The fires are getting worse. And then here's where we come to a nameless dad and his son, Joey, that Alex mentioned earlier. So the dad is looking for Joey. I loved this scene because it was just so janky. The dad is screaming for this kid, and the kid's just like, the dad's like, Joey, where the fuck were you? And he's like, I was just playing down by the ground. Never mind, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Just cuts the kid right off. Jump in the camper and they
take
why
off. Joey didn't notice that the entire forest was on fire around him.
He was like that little. He was like the little dog in the kitchen. Yeah.
Also, I want to mention that nameless dad is screaming for Joey. He's like, where the fuck were you? Great, let's get in the car. And then he just saunters over to the vehicle. He could not have moved fucking slower to get. Oh God!
Come on, Fred, get it together. You need more than one speed. People run and walk at different speeds.
That was the fault of the same animation that made the downed helicopter cut scenes of their scared faces so awesome.
They're pretty great.
They're just back and forth. There was no motion happening. It was just open mouth. Ah, open mouth. Yeah.
Open mouth.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Unfortunately, we have
It
some
was
more awkward dialogue here as the emergency folks are arriving on scene. They're trying to get everything together. They're still kind of relaying back and forth. Alex mentioned the retardant chemicals. There's literally a line that says the retardant mixing units are at Kelsey Flats, just kind of like out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
it just, there's so many things going on, but literally nothing is happening at the same time. It's just like a lot of staging, but no actual action. Even when these guys are dealing with the actual patients, it's such a bored delivery. Like I have Gage here. He's talking to a guy who's laid out on a stretcher, right? So he's got him on a backboard. It's like, take it easy. You got a lot of smoke in your lungs. And then they go to the other guy, and he's like, "Oh, broken leg. How did it happen? Fell off a cliff. We'll take it from here." Like, what the fuck? Like, dude's got broken leg. He just fell off a cliff. Yeah, we got it. We're good. Let's get you out of here.
Like, it's quite literally the same tone of voice that you would use for transfer of care of a patient in an emergency room, where you would say, "Yeah, he's got a hurt toe, and he wants a turkey sandwich."
I was gonna say it's the
to
same
you.
tone that I get from a Subway worker when I say, "No, I wanted the Black Forest ham," and they're like, "Oh, okay."
I'm sorry, sir. I need you to correct yourself. It's a sandwich artist.
A sandwich artist.
Sandwich artist.
I actually get more of a jolt from them when they actually get the order right. But okay, so then we meet this Chief Johnson, who quote unquote has his hands full here, which Alex was talking about. He literally does not have control of the situation. He basically
no control of the scene whatsoever.
He like freaks out, but then just like drinks a cup of coffee while everything's burning down around him. I love that guy.
So I want to say the incredible thing is that we get this dialogue that's talking about that 1,000 acres have already burned.
Yeah, it was real quick.
And so from the moment of this Tasmanian devil setting down to the moment that we pick back up with the rest of this unit, 1,000 acres have already burned. And so what they do then is they're just like, oh, we got to get these helicopters up in the air. And you're like, okay, that sounds intelligent.
That actually makes
like,
sense. Yeah,
it sounds
sure.
Good
idea.
Sure. Sounds like they know what they're doing. And then they have this one terrible animated scene where they open up. The shot is from the inside of the helicopter, where they open the door to the helicopter, and it looks like a bunch of miners getting ready to get on the helicopter.
See, I thought it was that, or like the villagers from Frankenstein had showed up with their pitchforks. And we're like reverse burning everything down. I had no clue what was going on here.
Or Shay and her family from the Balmera on Voltron.
Yep.
Since we were just talking about that.
It's like they took the lowest common denominator in terms of what was like technically proficient for this task, and they were like, show up at the helicopter, and everybody's like, oh, the helicopter. Got it. Thumbs up. So the best part about this is that, and this is very relevant for all of this, is that so you get this extended unnecessary animation of the helicopter's rotor mast.
Oh, amazing!
Starting up.
That's great.
Because and if you're not familiar with the rotor mast, it's the part that connects the actual like body of the helicopter to the blade. So it's that cylindrical piece that rotates the actual blade for the helicopter and allows it to actually take off. It doesn't set the direction of the helicopter. It just allows for
It's the thing in the movies that makes the and it gets faster and faster, and then the helicopter goes where it needs to go.
Right, where like any bad guy falls into it, and you're just like, oh, we got chopped up.
Right.
Like,
oh, shoot.
They're not getting like cut up by like the rotor tail blade or anything like that. Like they're falling
which fell off because they hit a tree or a mountain.
They totally clipped the mountain on that one.
They clipped it, but you know what? I love that the helicopter still landed straight instead of spinning.
Yeah, like a whirly bird.
As fast as possible, like a whirly bird, which is what a helicopter actually does.
Yes.
If you turn off or remove the tail rotor.
So Black Hawk Down in this instance decides.
It's okay. They clipped a hill on their way down, so it made everything.
Guys, they were totally fine. The one guy just broke his back. He's completely fine.
So let me explain this dialogue that's here.
Please,
that, again,
please.
Could not be said with any less enthusiasm.
So glad you have this.
It was almost as if somebody woke up from a coma 10 years in a coma, and they were like, hey, quick, read these lines. And they were just like, oh, tight spot, and then they're like, read this next line. They're like, my back? And that was it.
Then they just
that was like the
flatlined.
extent. And that's the extent of what it is, because Alex is 100% correct. Like, at this point, like, the rotor tail snaps off completely.
Uh-huh.
You don't get a whirly bird situation, which, in terms of, and I know this because I understand physics, that's what happens when you snap that off. Like, you have a helicopter.
That's the entire purpose of the tail rotor.
exactly.
Yes, exactly.
To keep it from turning into a whirlybird.
Again. So actual main helicopter blade allows you to elevate. Rotor allows you to aim in the specific position that you need to go in.
Unless
for
it's one of those
direction.
Russian wolf things where they have the double rotors. But...
And they can't really figure those out either.
Oh, I think they're pretty cool.
Are they?
Actually.
They are. They're really fun.
I mean, I think they're badass.
They
and
look great.
They were really fun to play in that game that I played in the 90s. I don't know.
What game was
what
that?
was it?
Emergency
Air
plus
Attack?
4, the video game.
it was Emergency
video
plus
game.
4. Yeah.
So we get this moment where the rotor tail snaps off, and there is a crash that looks like somebody just very gingerly guided the body of the helicopter down into the side of a mountain.
That's how it worked.
And then somebody's just
On like a slip and slide.
Right.
They just like right down and you stop and you're good.
You get somebody who just literally, the line is
You're
they
good,
just go,
son.
my back.
My back. My back.
My neck and my back.
I love how
Yeah.
they follow up with him later. Didn't he say my neck, my back, lick my... Oh, no, he didn't say that. That was a line from a hip-hop song later.
That's correct.
I don't know. I'd have to rewatch the episode. I think there might have been some licking and some cracking and some necking.
Something about his crack. Yeah, I think he broke
Yeah.
his crack. Is that what it was?
He broke it. He just said, my crack.
Oh, my crack.
Yes.
All right, so we've got these dum-dums crashed now, yep. So,
All right,
but,
so these guys land and they're crashed up. All right, I
but
got you.
now I think we're getting to the real antagonist of this episode, Sean. Am I right?
We are almost there. Right before, I want to say
Maybe
this.
we're on the wrong page, because I think my guy's coming up real quick.
No, we're almost there. We're almost there. I promise you, I will segue into this. All right, is that so? We have this helicopter that goes down, and somebody reports on the radio that there's an accident at Dawn's Peak.
Okay.
And over the radio, you hear the station. You hear somebody say something. They go, "There's an accident." Something about Square 51. I wonder where they are. And this is Carol in the Emergency Plus 4 van, Squad 51. So Squad 51, well, here, I'm going to be very clear about this. So Squad 51 obviously is the group that is the first responders.
Yeah, the main guys who the show's
correct.
supposed to be fucking
That's
about.
Johnny and Roy. That is Squad 51.
All right. So she hears over the radio that there's been an accident that is in Square 51.
Oh, no shit.
Because they're looking at a map
Coincidence?
that has a bunch of squares, and she goes, and I believe this to be right. She goes, something about Square 51. I wonder where they are. And I was like, Carol, you dum-dum, they're in Square 51. Now, maybe I misheard that.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's
and maybe
probably
it was
Squad.
Squad
I
51.
retract my statement because
Maybe it
all
was
I heard
Squad
was
51.
and I'm sorry that I
Well, here's
meant
the
to
here's the
correct you.
challenge
I
is
thought,
that
okay.
I've watched this episode now 3 times, and I've taken the same note multiple times. I could be 100% wrong, but in my brain, I was like, Carol, how did you not know that they're in Square 51? It's not like
they
they're
actually
giving
said,
you all the resources.
I think they said Squid 51, which is actually a very famous
Squid.
God damn
sushi
it.
restaurant in LA.
So, but here's the main thing. So we get to the point now where I believe the antagonist for this entire episode takes place.
Let's get to him.
And
All right.
this is important.
Who is it?
We have Nameless
Prove
Dad.
me wrong.
We have Nameless Dad, and we have Joey. All right,
Driving along in their
who
camper.
they're in the camper, and they're heading
Literally
out
through
of-
the fire, but trying to get out of the park. Yeah.
correct.
It's okay. Like I said, GPS told me I'm going to take a left through this wall of
Yeah.
fire.
Right.
I got
Thanks,
you.
Waze.
Like,
I got this, son.
They're driving through
And he don't,
Centralia.
and you don't got this.
Right.
Yeah.
So they they're driving through this ring of fire, and they are on their way to get out. And all of a sudden, lo and behold,
Joey Cash.
lo and behold, this is where the antagonist shows up.
Pops right out of the forest.
That deer.
That
deer
buff
doe.
bastard.
The deer.
The deer.
The fucking
deer
that
Deer.
makes
is
Joey's
the
dad.
antagonist.
Look, here's the
Oh.
scenario, ladies and gentlemen. You're driving a camper through a forest fire with
I
your
hate
kid.
you a little
Yeah?
bit.
Here's your scenario.
Shit,
You're
okay.
driving.
All right. Okay.
You're on a curvy road.
Mocha.
To the right of you is the mountain pass. Behind you is a fire. In front of you is a deer. And to the left is a steep cliff that will drop you to your death. What do you do?
You hit
Fuck
that.
You mash that
deer.
fucking deer.
Yo.
I will absolutely mash a deer up. I don't care if he lands.
You destroy that deer. Because then guess what? Even if you crash, you got dinner to get you through the night.
Ooh.
Right.
That is a tasty deer.
Listen, son, go in the back, dress this deer that just came through our windshield, and I'm going to keep driving.
I almost wanted there to be a scene, and this is the alt version of this, where Joey's nameless dad is just like, Joey, go get the kosher salt and the pepper out of the back.
Joey, go fetch my buck knife.
And the dressing knife. Yeah. Right.
Look, the worst
Joey,
part of this whole thing, though, right, is that they didn't just swerve. So they literally take the worst option, swerve off the road, and careen over the side of a cliff.
Careen. Yeah, like by the time you read this, I will have jumped. No, scratch it out. Plummeted to my death. Yes.
Plummeted. The worst part of the scenario is that the deer didn't just cause it, is that he gives them the hardest possible side eye as the camper goes over the cliff.
Totally
There's
does.
a fully
Absolutely.
dedicated scene to a
That
full
deer-
shot of this deer's face going like,
I know my world is on fire, but for real, bro?
holy shit.
For
It was
real.
basically Bambi's dad. That's what happened to him.
Oh, man.
Right. Oh.
All right, go ahead. What were you going to ask, Alex?
So
John, what do you got?
I wanted to ask that, like, in these situations, all right, if you are able to swerve and avoid a deer, all right, and not put yourself at risk, you should do so. But if you are operating a vehicle, all right, and there is a deer in front of you, and the only other option is to hit that deer in order to save yourself, what do you do? What do you do?
What do you do? I shoot the hostage.
Third option?
I'm sorry. No.
Oh my God, Keanu, don't do that.
I was asked I had a flashback to a different question. I'm sorry. Well, no. My choices are turn left and smash into a mountain, which is made of stone and will probably destroy my engine.
Right.
My choices are turn right and fall off the mountain, which will just kill all of the things. And then my last choice is smash into the deer while I slam on my brakes. I'm not going to do anything except slam into the deer. Because the mountain will kill my engine and the edge of the mountain will kill my family. So
Also,
I'm gonna hit the animal. I'm sorry, Bambi.
yeah.
Fuck
They
yourself.
are delicious.
I know. Plus, I can also have food.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Dave. I don't know anything about dressing deer. I really hope the next time I hit one, you're with me because you've gone hunting. You know how to dress deer,
Super
yeah?
easy. Yeah, just don't rupture the gut sac. You're good to go.
Right. And that's what I would need help with not rupturing. So thank you for that.
But I mean, like, the whole idea behind this is that, like, we've established that this entire mountaintop that they're on is on fire. Like, the chances of this deer surviving under any circumstances are very slim at this point.
I'll tell you what, he did not need emergency +4 services though.
What if I just swerve a couple degrees left and use my right headlight to take out its head, and then I just keep going?
Yeah, I'm still cool with
But
that.
that's not what
That's
happened,
okay.
unfortunately.
Also an option. But you're right, not what happened.
These dum-dums go right over the cliff. And they literally get pinned between the rock wall and a scrawny little tree that is holding this camper up with
like a black sheep
Yes.
moment where Chris Farley is hanging on going, "Be strong,
Little
little
roots."
root, please."
So-
and then
So with this accident, I want to know, all right, how did Joey stay inside of this
should've
camper,
been-
but the dad got thrown out and
under.
got pinned underneath the camper? He is in between this rock wall. It's rock wall, dad, tiny tree.
Look, I gotta say this
Death.
though. Deer, like, refusal to smash the deer aside, I gotta give props to this dad because he's the most patient possible dad you could be in this scenario.
Father of the year.
he's-
Father of
he
the
is
fucking year.
crushed
father of
under
the
a
fucking year,
camper.
but also like human of the year because he has apparently survived some more traumatic shit to his lower half of his body than I have seen in a very long time. Like, so at one point when Joey gets off the radio, he says, "Dad, I talked to the firemen. They're coming." Meanwhile, cut to a shot of Dad not moving, all mashed up under an RV. Holy shit, good thing you had that life-saving shitty wool blanket again, kid. This seems to be a recurring theme.
That moment where the line was, cover your father with a blanket. I was like, yeah, cover that corpse.
Cover that corpse
with a
so
fucking blanket.
Cover that corpse so you don't have to look at it.
Cover that frozen corpse of your father. Jesus.
But again, shit, it's dark out. Let's just sit here, hope for the best, and drink coffee.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Classic fireman.
If that kid gets hungry, he can just feast on the corpse of his father.
Or maybe that mina bird.
I'm gonna pull back for 2
Okay, where we at?
seconds. All right. So we have this idea, all right, that this nameless dad and Joey have driven over this cliff.
Yep.
We still have this downed helicopter
Right.
that is like our B story in this.
Yeah,
whole
sure.
thing.
Yes, that's true. And I have a
totally
very big point about that.
totally tertiary.
Yeah,
To everything at this point.
because it's
So-
not nearly as important.
Right. So let's wrap up this B story really
Yeah.
quick. So we
Okay.
have a helicopter that lowers a cage and picks up 2 of the firefighters.
Well, even before they do
I'm
that,
sorry,
though.
they lowered a what? Squad 51. We're lowering a medieval torture device down to you.
We're-
Hop in, bitches.
we're lowering
because
the
the
Iron
Iron
Maiden.
Maiden can't stay here for very long.
We're sending the Iron Maiden down if you needed to torture anyone.
Right.
Yep.
But no, even before that.
right before that,
Yeah.
weren't they just talking to a guy who was on a backboard
Yes.
on the
So-
ground?
so they
and they
literally
completely like
Left him.
They just fucking left
No,
him.
no. They got him on the. So hold on, let's back up. So
No,
this is
no,
where Alex was saying.
Well, he wasn't in the Iron Maiden, Dave.
Well, they dumped all the shit on them, right? So whether it was 800 pounds of water or 1,000 liters of this foam stuff, right? They dump all that on
Sure,
them because
sure.
they're like, well, you guys are kind of on fire, so we're gonna cool you down a little bit.
We're gonna try and not make you on
Yeah,
fire.
we're gonna
anymore,
make you on
okay?
fire, and then we're gonna come in and try to pick you up. So first thing, drown them and smash their bones with a lot of water. Second thing, fly in,
Jesus Christ.
fly in,
Jesus.
talk to the guy with the broken back. Be just like, hey, how do you feel? And he's like, I felt better.
Severed.
It's broken
Right.
back. They put him on a backboard because the whole time, like, there's this sweet kind of sexy jazz music that's playing the whole time that they're going
There
through
really
this, like,
is.
put the man with a broken back who will never walk again on a backboard and take him away. So yeah, I think they got him.
Because he should listen to Sweet Sweet Jams before he realizes he's gonna be in a wheelchair for the rest of his
That's
life.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, do me a favor. Now that we're up in the helicopter, do me a favor and tap your toe to this beat.
You can't, can you?
Oh, you can't.
You like this Wynton Marsalis I've got going? All right, moving on. So Iron
I
Maiden,
got
I
some
think, comes
Cole
next.
Porter here if it would suit your spine injury better.
So okay, now they drop the Iron Maiden in because this is where Gage and DeSoto were still kind of hanging out, waiting, trying to pick the rest of these guys.
With a guy on a backboard who I'm pretty sure they did not rescue.
Okay, so they left somebody down there and just left by themselves.
I'm telling you, they lowered down a cage after they were talking about this guy on a backboard, and then they came up with no guy on a backboard.
There were 3 guys originally. I thought they loaded 1, and then the Gage and DeSoto went up in the Iron Maiden. So there's at least 2 people down there they just left to burn in a helicopter. Neat show. For
Listen,
kids.
apparently the LA Fire Department needed some work.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man. All right. Is there anything about this completely unnecessary rescue that takes place where they presumably leave 2 people to die that we need to recap?
No, I think that's it. I think everything else kind of revolves around the kids. Literally all of the kids.
Yeah, everything else I want to talk about is about the kid and his
Right.
dad and the camper.
Let's
and
do
the,
this.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Because what happens next is we get Dad of the Year explaining to Joey, all right, how to use the radio.
While he's slowly
all right?
bleeding out on the front of a mountain.
Right. So we get we get Joey, who we discover his last name.
Oh, did we?
Finally? Yeah. Because they asked, they're just like, well, you know
Like,
what?
Joey who?
They're like,
Which,
yeah, and then he's like Joey Runyon.
Oh, Runyon.
I
That's
was like-
right. Because Runyon
Yeah. I
was like,
Canyon out
that's
in LA.
I was like, that is the worst fucking last
Well,
name.
that's-
Is that a real place?
Yeah,
out there?
Runyon Canyon is
Oh, okay.
just like a fairly well-known place out in LA. So they literally were just like
Gotcha.
looking at a map and just be like, Runyon, that's it. Joey
Yeah,
Runyon.
fuck it. Runyon sounds good. No problem.
And Dad Runyon.
Dad Runyon.
Dad Runyon. So at this point, they begin talking with Joey.
And these are the kids.
they-
These are like Carol and the kids in the +4.
right. These are the kids.
Yes.
So they have some information, and so they decide to do something. Which, oh my gosh, lo and behold, they need to get their hands on a set of directional antennas because they intend to triangulate Joey Runyon's position.
Who the fuck? Go ahead, Alex.
I think that's fantastic because if you're using a triangle-shaped antenna to draw a triangle on a map, that must be triangulation.
That's how it's done.
That's how it works, right? And if anybody who has more science knowledge can tell me something else,
no, and
that's how triangulation is done, right?
Oh my god, this killed me so much because knowing enough about triangulation, looking at this, I was like, what?
This is not how triangulation is done.
Hey, this is not how triangulation is done.
Right.
And what was killing me about this entire thing is that, and this is, we are now like 14 minutes into this episode.
Yeah, we're pretty far because somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So the thing that I want to understand, or that I want to convey to anybody who's listening, all right, is that there are so many teachable moments that they've had up to this point about what's going on and what they're doing and how they can assist and where Gage and DeSoto can assist everybody in what they're doing, and how Carol is sort of all of a sudden taking charge of this situation, and she's just like, I'm gonna fucking triangulate this shit. I'm gonna find Joey. Like
triangles.
I'm gonna use this. Yeah, right. Like and using all this
trigonometry was the shit.
Yeah, right. Like the only time that it's applicable.
Thanks, Mr. Watson.
And so you look at this stuff and you think to yourself, like, okay, like I would like to know more. Like Starship Trooper wise, like would you like to know more?
Click.
Yes, I would. And they skip over and miseducate every possible teachable moment in this show.
Now hang on. There is one teachable moment that they succeeded in doing. And it's not one that you would normally find in schools. It's not one that you would normally find in any discipline outside of the fire service. There was a teachable moment about radio discipline.
Oh, God.
Because the captain...
Please.
Because the captain told Little Miss Blonde Girl...
Carol.
Slow down. Give him a chance to answer.
Stop running your mouth, toots.
Pretty much. Hey... Shut your mouth, lady.
Let the man talk.
Just let him talk.
Let the 8-year-old man talk.
This was after the kid figured out how to switch the radio from talk to
this
listen mode.
But
whatever.
Which I want to note this.
No,
it's not Carol's fault. All right, it's Joey Runyon's.
Yeah. No. Later on, it was Carol's fault because she was talking too goddamn much, and
Jesus Christ,
should have let him talk.
She's been up since 4. She's had like 12 coffees, which is a lot for a 12-year-old.
She smoked like 5 packs of cigarettes.
It's like Willy Wombat, and she's like 3.5 packs deep. She's just very, very amped up right now, okay?
She's on edge, and Joey Runyon is not giving her a whole lot of help here. Where are you, Joey?
Is not doing the best job here.
Here, let's do a little back and forth.
But the captain did teach the children about radio discipline.
He did.
So that's all I'm saying.
You want a little back and forth?
Yeah,
here?
Sean, you be Joey Runyon. I'll be Carol.
Okay.
Where are you, Joey?
I don't know. I'm somewhere in a canyon.
Like what canyon?
Like a canyon that my dad, who's a real bad driver, drove over.
Yeah. Can you see anything that could help us find you?
I could see that the camper is on top of my dad's spine.
Okay, Joey. You know what? You're terrible, so let's just keep you talking. Do you know any jokes?
Give me that radio, kid. How do you think I'm doing? I've been trapped under an RV all night, and you're dropping rocks on my head.
I just picture
as you're trying to rescue
the front
me.
Half of his dad just crawling towards him. My dad's a zombie.
My zombie dad is on his way.
Oh, look, my dad's saved. Oh, no, he's not.
Oh, no, he's not.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. All right, so Joey's terrible. I have a lot of his jokes. No, we're not going to go through them. They're so bad.
Yeah, I want to later. I want to later when we recap this episode because they are amazingly terrible.
I know they are fantastic. Also, I love the fact that one of the responses from the captain was, "Okay, Joey, that's great. That means your jokes fucking suck, kid."
Okay, Joey, that's
Stop.
great. Great joke.
Stop.
So I want to very quickly get to the point that we've talked about is sort of just the conclusion of this search for this day. But I want to say before that,
yeah.
All right, we have a classic line from Joey where he just goes, "It's spooky up here," followed by him saying, "I wish I had a hot dog," and then he fucking falls asleep.
The fuck out.
He passes out.
At which point the search team was like, it's dark. Let's just camp for the night. The kid's probably fine.
Let's just drink.
It's dark.
He wasn't eaten by a bear.
Again, let's just make coffee and hope for the best.
You want a nip of this real quick? Just gonna kick back a couple.
I love their meeting the next morning where they're just like, oh, hey, Joe. Hey, Henry. Oh, hey, Tom. How's it going? Good to see you guys here. Oh, you want to go find that kid up in the canyon? Oh, okay, let's go.
Oh, yeah, I guess, shit, I forgot we were doing that.
Meanwhile, Carol is pulling out her goddamn hair because she's been up since 4 a.m.
I better be getting some overtime for this shit.
Yeah, right.
All right, so lo and behold, they eventually find this dum-dum, which they probably should have just let him rot, but that's just me. So they find this dum-dum, but there's another problem, yeah?
Because it's stuck between a tree and...
Literal hard place.
And a hard place, quite literally. Yeah.
There was one moment where the line of dialogue just made me kind of cringe, where they said like, "Well, we're gonna need something
one moment
to lift this car, because if we winch it, we're just gonna grate over the top of him." And I was just like, "Oh fuck!" I don't think that.
I was thinking to myself like, he's just he might actually just die from that. It's like when you see the or you ever hear about the stories about the people who fall in between the metro car and the metro platform, and then they get fucking twisted up, like brrr, just all the way down the line. And
well, they would have just,
that's what I was envisioning.
Yeah, they would have just sheared.
They said,
I guess they would have just sheared Dad Runyon like in half, right? They would have just
Dad Runyon,
They would have just like a,
or it would have just taken him over the cliff with the rest of the RV.
Exactly.
Then, well, I guess he's not a problem anymore.
That pissed me off, but we'll talk about that in a second. So
that would have also been a sweet and merciful ending for him. He probably would have been like, "Thank God."
Well, here's the thing: you've got somebody who's been trapped under an RV for a long time, and when I say long time, I mean greater than a couple hours.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking compartment syndrome.
Right.
I'm thinking that he is having all sorts of weird electrolyte imbalances, because when you have something that is smashed under a lot of weight and you don't rectify that situation fairly quickly, the second you lift that weight off of somebody, all of the basically dead cells and dead blood and dead everything else rushes back into your heart.
Ugh.
And it is extremely cardiotoxic. So it's just a really bad scenario. And the best thing that you can do for somebody like that is, if they have a limb smashed up under something, you give them a whole bunch of sodium bicarbonate to try and counteract the lactic acid that basically builds up where muscles, when you work them or when you just smash them up and don't move them for a while, they produce the same toxins. And so, like, you can give them something to try and counteract that effect, but okay.
There's still going to be some cardiotoxicity.
Half of his body has been immobile and smashed up.
Yeah.
And the second you lift that RV off of him, everything is going back to his heart, and everything that's going back to his heart is not good.
I thought you were going to say the best thing for a person in that scenario was a bullet to the head, but...
Well, that's also an option, but not one we carry on the ambulance.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't carry on that.
Shows what I know.
Yeah.
All right, so...
Ask your dad if he's got any guns
my
on
dad
the lamps.
always carries
your dad.
Drink!
I just wanted an excuse to drink. I just really wanted to make you
Everybody at home's been waiting. Sean hasn't said gypsy in forever. So,
Sean, say gypsy.
I'm actually going to get up to a point in a minute. The thing that I want to mention is that so as they are kind of trying to get a hold of Joey.
Well, they get Joey out of there, right? For the most part.
Right. But
they get him out first before his dad.
There's a moment before, like when they're on their way and they're trying to triangulate
where that fucking deer shows up.
Well, and it's after the deer. All right, but this is a point where you have to ask yourself the question: the firefighters themselves are not able to get the signal that Joey is broadcasting, and these jitney kids, these kidneys, all right, are saying these kidneys, all right, are saying they're just like, oh well, we actually have a booster on the back, and I was like, wait, hold on,
whole time, Carol.
You had this the whole time,
Carol.
Really?
God damn it, Carol. So you have to ask yourself the question: did these kids have better equipment than the actual firefighters?
Seems that way.
EMS squad that were trying to take care of this? Jitneys, drink.
Jitneys and gypsies and my dad.
Oh,
damn it! I have to do so much drinking.
But so they finally find them, and they begin sort of the whole we get this whole montage of them, everybody of several firefighters, EMS rappelling down.
Which that was pretty sweet. They just took the winch off the back of the fire truck and just zip right down the edge of the mountain. Pretty great.
So they get Joey.
Yeah,
they get Joey up and out of the situation.
Problem.
And Carol's just like, you must be Joey that we've heard so much about.
Joey.
Just like, yeah, who the fuck did you think was down in that canyon?
Just pulling kids out of that canyon. It's been Never Land, been trapped there for years.
But this is the point where Joey makes this statement. He's just like, what about my father? And I was like, oh, he's probably dead.
Your father's probably fucked. Sorry, bro.
So they relay for an IV.
Right.
So this is, I think, Alex, what you want to talk about having to relay for this.
Earlier.
Yes.
And so all through emergency, you would always hear Johnny and Roy talking to Rampart, talking to the hospital, just finding themselves a doctor so that they could perform XYZ life-saving measures. Right. And the fact that they continuously have to do this, for a guy who's down in a canyon, many, many miles, I assume, from a hospital, and all they want to do is, let me get this straight. So, guy's been trapped under an RV all night.
Check.
And a good point of, a good part of most of the day. Yep. Probably dehydrated.
Check.
Yep. Been out exposed to the elements.
Check.
And now we want to give him an IV, but I need you to set up a relay so that I can talk to the doctor.
Oh, hesitant check?
Not really sure, Captain, because the last thing the captain said was, yeah, that's a good one, kid.
He's like, yeah, great idea. We'll get right on that.
I'm right on top of that, Rose.
They just took another swig of coffee.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Now, I guess it was because those guys didn't have the medical clearance at the time, or it was for insurance purposes, or
Well, I mean, 44 years ago,
it's a
there
liability.
No, they just didn't. So currently we operate as paramedics under the license of a medical director for the department itself. So we obviously need a medical director for us to do our medicine things, and the medical directors change over the years, but if we can't just do the medicine that we want to do, because it has to be approved by a medical director who says that these are your protocols, these are what you're allowed to do without me, and then these are the protocols that you're allowed to do with basically my approval or another physician's approval.
Gotcha.
So, we're permitted to call different hospitals and say, hey, GW or Howard or Washington Hospital Center, this is what I'd like to do. This is what I got. Are you cool with this? We're going to be at your facility in 10, 12 minutes. Are you all right with this? And so most of them will say yes if you sound like you know what you're doing.
I feel like probably starting an IV of fairly simple stuff, even if it's just a saline thing or a basic.
And that is what we call, outside medical control. We don't need a doctor to tell us to do that. So there's things that we are permitted to do up to a point, and then anything after that, which is the really, really complicated, third, fourth, fifth line level drugs, things like that, or anything that's outside the scope of our protocols, that's what we need to contact a doctor for. But it's just funny to see that, they had to contact a doctor for very, very simple stuff years and years ago. And it's and times have changed.
Well, let me ask you this. If you wanted to call in to have an Army heavy lifting helicopter brought in, is that something you have to contact your superiors for?
Hey, Chief, you still got ties with the U.S. Army?
You still got connections to the mafia?
Right. Hey, tell this guy, take the horse out of his bed and bring me a helicopter.
Yeah.
Get a helicopter, bring a piano, I'm gonna drop a piano on him.
Yes, something this complicated would absolutely involve multiple levels of chiefdom and a whole bunch of doctors and things. And in DC, we have something called the Go Team, which we can utilize for a whole bunch of doctors who need to show up to like some really terrible thing that they can do, like field amputations. They can do all sorts of really advanced medical procedures outside of the emergency department setting that we are not able to do. But something like that would require a lot of prior authorization if I wanted to lift a camper off of a shitty dad.
By using a Chinook.
Well,
by using a Chinook to lift it off of a shitty dad.
I gotta say, the only exciting thing in this entire episode, though, because I was just like, shit, didn't see that coming.
You thought Dad was gonna die. Yeah.
Dad Runyon.
But Dad lived because
it's
it's the 1970s and everyone makes
yay. We don't, I mean, I guess we know that he lived. My favorite part was when this army helicopter comes in, lifts the van, and then just takes off with it. Like, that's our camper now, motherfuckers. Like, we own this.
Apparently it knows where to go.
They just flew away.
The amazing thing is to have a paramilitary group handed off to a military group. I guess in terms of jurisdiction, they can just be like, "This is our camper now. Who's ready for vacation?"
Exactly. Turn this thing over. We're good to go.
I got so much leave coming up this weekend.
When we take this back to base, we're gonna flip this over and pimp it out. Yeah.
The crazy thing was the spin-off cartoon series that was like paramilitary Black Ops +4, because those kids actually went Call of Duty +4.
+4. I feel like you can add a +4 to so many things, and it's unnecessary, but just as enjoyable as adding Tokyo.
Assassin's Creed +4.
I was thinking Fast and Furious, and you already said Tokyo Drift.
It is. Yeah. It's just as exciting as adding Tokyo Drift on the end of something.
Absolutely.
Just like +4.
I'd watch Emergency Tokyo
That's
Drift.
Awesome.
I would watch that.
Ooh, +4.
Would watch. All right. So anything else from this episode other than Joey's terrible jokes?
Let's get into Joey's terrible jokes. Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah,
you got one?
Joey's terrible jokes.
Who's got one?
What is it that runs and doesn't have any feet?
I don't know, Joey Runyon.
It's water.
I love how he delivered it. He's like, you probably don't know. It's water.
He was so sad and shitty about it.
He is going to grow up to be an amazing comedian because he's already self-deprecating as fuck.
Full of tragedy.
He's full of tragedy. It feels like, because it's time plus tragedy equals comedy, and Joey Runyon is in that prime position where like he fits the criteria for this bullshit.
He's got a captive audience too.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, alternate Patton Oswalt.
I look more like Louis C.K.
Well, I know you do, but that was his album.
Oh, that was
tragedy plus comedy equals time.
Right.
All right, who's got another one?
But that's like a common comedy equation.
Right. No, I understand that. You just.
It's actually weird that Joey Runyon grew up to become Patton Oswalt. That's kind of the weird story about this whole thing. Change his name.
One time, my dad was under an RV.
That's rough. We gotta ask him about that. Who's got another one?
Do you know why ducks fly south?
I don't know, Joey Runyon.
Because it's too far to walk.
Fuck you, kid.
That was the closing joke of the episode.
That was the final line.
That was the final line
of this turd of an episode.
Oh my
All right, here's one for you. Why is an old car like a baby?
Fire of a TV show.
Why is an old car like a baby?
It never goes anywhere without a rattle.
Ha cha cha cha.
I got two more, but I don't know. I don't even think I can do them.
We don't have to do it. Let's suffice it to say, Joey Runyon gave him the old razzle dazzle to end this episode.
He was a real champ.
Oh, yeah, boy. And the next move after rescuing him off a mountain was jerking him off stage with that vaudeville hook.
I was worried where you were going with that.
I'm glad you said vaudeville hook.
I'm yanking him off stage with that vaudeville. God damn you all. I hate you.
It's time to grow up, Joey Runyon. All right, that's going to do it for Emergency +4. However, we have some opinions, but there are some other opinions out there. There's literally at least one other opinion, because it's the only one I found through IMDb. This one says, it's from Racin D, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It's titled On the Same Ground as the TV show. I don't know what that means, Racing D. It's from back in 2000. And it says, I got a chance to catch this seldom-seen Saturday morning cartoon show from the early 1970s recently on a children's cable network. I have fond memories of it as a child when it came on the NBC network as part of its Saturday morning schedule. The show was perfect since it premiered on the heels of its predecessor, which was the primetime live-action version of Emergency, a Saturday night Nielsen ratings hit show that ran for 7 seasons on NBC, on which this cartoon was based, with the full cooperation of the Los Angeles County Fire Department. I don't know how many times one person can say that a cartoon was based on the live-action show, but
dude, I don't
Racing,
know.
you
Amazing.
did it. However, this show was just like its predecessor, and mostly at the end of the show, its original stars from Emergency would come out and talk to kids about certain dangerous situations and how to avoid them in case it happens. Very good cartoon show from the 70s. We didn't get to see the live action.
They didn't do that for this episode.
No, we didn't see that, which I feel like it would have been like the pro stars. Like, these guys wouldn't have given a shit. It would have been like less enthusiastic than Chuck Norris, you know?
I'm also really curious. Did Mantooth write this review? This one singular review?
Like
did
25
Mantooth come
years
on?
after it was on the air?
He's like, popular show, Emergency.
Yeah.
Followed on the heels with Emergency +4.
It's a hit Saturday Night Nielsen ratings.
Yeah, right. This feels like it was so much copywriting that like Mantooth had like consumed over the years that he was just like, guys,
I have no idea, but maybe.
I really want to hype this up, guys. Emergency's coming out on HD DVD. What? That's not a thing anymore. It's coming out on Blu-ray DVD. Wait, that's not a thing anymore. It's streaming in 4K.
It's 4K
that's not a thing anymore.
Emergency plus 4K.
Damn it.
He was originally excited. The review was actually originally written for what was that fucking disc?
Laserdisc?
Laserdisc. Yes.
Laserdisc.
What was that fucking disc?
It's for laser.
Joey Runyon, run, get me that disc.
Joey
Runyon, run your ass over there and get that.
Joey Runyon, run your ass over there.
All right, so that's Randolph Mantooth's opinion. What about you guys? We're going to start with our guest of the show, Alex Capece. Brother, do you recommend this show? And if not, do you give it the dip and erase it from all existence?
Well, I only have this one episode to look at, and as much as I would like to believe that their attempt was to educate kids about bad situations and teach them what to do, I'm gonna say that no, they didn't do a good job, because Joey Runyon he has learned nothing. And I give it the dip.
Ooh, that's one for the dip.
I give it the dip. I love Emergency, the original show. I have the DVDs. Love the show to death. It's part of my childhood where I was, being shown this by somebody else, obviously. But I can't deal with this. I give it.
You dealt with it for the last hour and a half. Well done.
Damn.
All right, we got one for the dip, Sean, buddy. What do you say?
I don't recommend this, and I gotta agree with Alex. There were so many teachable moments in this, and they failed every single time.
They did.
I gotta go with the dip.
Wow. They fucked it up.
I gotta go with the dip. Dave, how you feeling?
Guys fucked it up. Joey Runyon. This is a unanimous dip.
Oh no! I feel so happy that I'm present for a unanimous
This is
dip.
dip plus 3.
The first unanimous dip. Right
Oh
here.
yeah!
Again. Yeah.
Good job,
so
Emergency plus 4, for being so terrible
Yeah.
that 40 years later, 3 jackasses will write your show off from existence, including one medical professional. But no, I'm with you. Like, I love love the live action series. One More Time to Drink. Me and my dad used to have a good time watching it, but we never watched the cartoon. I didn't know it existed until we put together the research for this show. Had no idea. So let's go back to that. Let's go back to pretending it doesn't exist, because it's really bad.
I also did not know that this show existed until you guys told me about it.
Yeah, sorry to...
As much of my love of the original Emergency. Had no clue they made a
Sorry
spinoff.
to ruin that.
Well, you know what? If my dad has taught me anything,
Drink.
Jitney. Everybody drink!
Yeah,
Finish your drink at this
everybody
point,
drink, because yay.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for this round of recommendations and not recommendations.
Nice.
Alex Capece, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Absolutely. Always happy to be here. Love all the topics that you guys have here, and it's just thanks for inviting me to be the panel expert.
Yeah.
That sounds like
Hell
such
yeah.
a weird phrase because no, but
Welcome to subject matter expert territory, buddy.
no.
Put it
no,
on your
no.
resume.
SME, I am not. So
As far as we're
no,
concerned,
but thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for the show, and it's always a pleasure to be here.
yeah, brother. Do you have
So,
anything coming up?
Hope to see you guys again.
Do you have
soon.
anything coming up in the next couple of weeks that you want listeners out there to know about, or are you a private citizen? And if so, if you want to let them know your contact info on like Twitter, you don't have to.
Not really much of a Twitter guy, so no.
Cool.
Private
Citizen.
Private
Alex Capece.
citizen.
Nice.
But I'd be happy to contribute on other stuff that you guys have going on in the future. So we'll be in touch.
Okay,
Nice.
sounds good. Sean,
Don't call me. I'll
okay,
call you.
got it. You know where to find
How's
me.
that sound?
Sean, brother, what do you have going on?
Oh man, we are coming into December right
Yep.
now, and so I have a bunch of shows that are going to be with Washington Improv Theater throughout the month of December. You can find more witdc.org, and as always, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis.
Fantastic. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Dr. Claw MD. Since we are rolling into December now,
Dr.
my
Claw MD.
National Novel Writers Month, my short story Black Castle is wrapped up, starring Nathan Fillion as a black person. That's not true at all. That was just Sean's log line from last week. But if that piques your interest, feel free to head on over to davetrumbour.com and check out Black Castle.
Damn it, Dave! I was actually really excited that was.
I'm
a
gonna
thing.
go rewrite it
Damn
as fanfic, featuring an African
You
American
son of a
Nathan Fillion.
bitch.
But you should also read it. I'm 4 chapters in right
Okay.
now. So I am enjoying myself immensely with Black Castle.
Dude, and they're short chapters.
Especially
too,
the part where Nathan Fillion
Yeah, it's
comes
great.
out in blackface. It's fantastic.
It's a little controversial, but just push through it and you'll really appreciate it at the end.
Why is Black Castle not a thing? Damn
Very,
it. Oh, okay.
very brave on the part of the author. So
Oh,
Dave,
don't.
a lot of
Fuck
credit
you.
towards you.
Fuck you.
If you want to find out
Listen
more
here, Oprah. Shut the fuck
on
up.
Saturday Morning Cartoons, you can do so at our website, SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can also find us on Twitter at MorningTunes. Check out Sean's handiwork on his Instagram account. Instagram is Instagram.com/Saturday Morning Cartoons. Is that right? Sure, let's go with that.
At Saturday Morning Cartoons.
Or that. I don't know how the Instagram works.
Don't
Now that
worry.
Kendall Jenner's off it, I don't even care.
You like literally don't
I
even
like
care.
literally don't even care.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my
I literally can't even. All right, Saturday Morning Cartoon listeners, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on here.
Yeah, you can also find us on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to our audio podcast for free each and every week through iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. And if you have any suggestions for future episodes or want to see Alex Capece back on here, send us an email, SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. That's going to wrap it up this time. Sean, what do we have coming up in December for the folks out there?
Oh man, we've got a lot of fun stuff because December is a month where everything gets real chill.
Oh, God.
And so, what? I'm not segueing in anything in particular. So it's also a really great month because we have a new Star Wars movie. We have Rogue One that is coming up, and so we are going to be dipping our toe into the Star Wars holiday special.
Ooh, the holiday special.
We're going to get into the holiday special.
I didn't know there was an animated
And-
one. There's like a 10-minute animated segment of that.
I absolutely knew that there was one, and it is interesting to watch.
Good.
So we are gonna get into that. We've got a Rankin Bass special that's gonna come up, and then Dave and I are also gonna be taking a break for 2 weeks to kind of regroup at the end of the year. So that's what you have to look forward to for the next 4 weeks.
So yeah, come on back to Saturday Morning Cartoons next time and help us close out 2016. Its highs, its lows, and everything in between. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.
Hey, everybody. Thanks a lot for listening to Saturday Morning Cartoons. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to transform and roll out.